G'day tubers, how are we people? Hope you are all well and clear of the China virus or the Delta virus or the Omicron virus or whatever the bloody hell virus you want to call it these days. Personally, I'm sick to death of it. The numbers are just absolutely ridiculous, and I reckon there's something not quite right here that perhaps our friends at the state and federal level probably aren't telling us. But anyway, that is a complete other story. Thank you to my subscribers, my viewers, and anyone else who contributes anything at all to these videos. Now, we've had a little bit of a win here, guys. Well, not a win, just a purchase. I scored it's 4 and a bit. 4 engines, 3 Wisconsins, a GX Honda, and a parts engine, which is also a Wisconsin. Got them all off a guy up in the mountains in Victoria there, not too far away. And finally we've got a project and we're going to restore the 3 of them. This is only the first one and yeah, we'll go from there. So let's hook right in, guys. Let's have a look at this.
Well, people, it never rains, but it pours. 2 weeks ago, I was complaining to you that I had no projects to do and I was bored stupid. Well, thank God for eBay, because along come 3 Wisconsin engines that I've just picked up. So that's 3 good projects to do. I know a little bit about them. The middle one was out of a Cranville backhoe. The little old things, though, you know, very small. All the plumbers used to use them. I think they used to call them wombats. And I've since found a little bit more history on it, which I'll share when we restore it. Another little Wisconsin, once again, made in Australia under licence by Ronaldson Brothers and Tippett. So that's an Aussie build one under licence. That's an Aussie built one under licence, and that's an American one. Those two appear to be basically the same. I mean, slight differences, but basically the same. Yeah, so 3 Wisconsins. Haven't got any of these, so it'll be interesting to pull them apart. They're missing little bits and pieces. You know, fuel line's not correct, no air cleaner, so on and so on. This one's missing the linkage off the carby to go to the throttle, but that's not a huge problem. It's got a hydraulic pump on it. That's the one off the Cranville tractor. Don't know much about this one. This one's got no compression, no spark. Might just be a stuck valve, dirty points. This one's got compression and spark. And this one's got compression and spark. And if you look on the top, it says 10 horsepower Wisconsin's VGC, and I'm taking VGC to be very good condition, and it seems to be. As I say, it rotates and got compression and a spark. Yeah, we might start restoring the I don't know whether to have a go at that small one first or the yellow one. I'll leave yous in suspense, people. Well, tubers, we're going to start with the yellow one. It's a model AENLD, you can just make out. Yeah, I don't know what year or anything like that. I'm guessing it's probably 60s. It's only a guess, I don't know for sure. Don't really know much about these ones. Lucas Magneto. As I say, she's got spark, so that appears to be all right. A little bit butchered and worn down there. The little stop button's been bent over and broken off. Not a huge problem. Carby all appears to be there. Muffler looks okay. The lead might want replacement. That's not a huge problem. There's still a bit of fuel in the tank. It's turned to varnish, of course, so we'll have to give that a good flush out. A few dents in that. That'll need a little bit of panel beating and a little bit of filler. We also checked the oil in this one too. It's pretty clean, surprisingly. Yeah. Anyway, let's get stuck in. Different way of holding on the petrol tank, guys. That top shroud fits down over that bolt. There's a spacer there, and then there's that bracket, and then there's those two bolts down there. So yeah, that's a different way. Normally they, you know, do something with all of these straps. So yeah, a bit different. That pull start pulley appears to have a pin holding it, and it also appears to be, it's got a hexagonal on it, so it's like a nut, and it'll probably undo as well. Oh, well, we've already made a mistake, guys. Nothing too serious. As I said, I looked at that pin and I thought, yeah, well, that pin will have to come out before that undoes. That's not the case. That pin is merely holding that front part of the pulley to that bushing or spacer. As you can see, that part of it is pinned over. So this was actually turning independent of that, but it wasn't unscrewing. So the pin's actually designed to hold it. The whole thing unscrews from the crankshaft like that. So yeah, just watch out for that. I mean, if you go forcing it or, you know, pullers and that, it actually undoes. A normal, you know, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey thread. Unusual design, tubers. Before you can take that blower housing off, as you'll see, there's two bolts down in there. Probably another couple at nut. The only way you can get that blower housing off is to pull the flywheel first. Now, I've never come across one that's that design. Fortunately, it come off easy. Couple of taps on the crankshaft with a copper hammer, and the flywheel just sort of popped straight off. But yeah, that'd be a trap if you didn't know. I mean, you'd be struggling to get that off. Yeah, so yeah, just watch out for that one. That's the blower housing off, guys. No real surprises, all looks pretty straightforward. Don't forget your key. Yeah, coming apart pretty easy. Just took that air filter tube off, guys. That's the connection for your breather. Nothing was holding that there, very sloppy. It looks like this has to be some sort of a gasket or an O-ring. But yeah, nothing, that wasn't clamping up at all. So we'll have to address that. We don't want the motor to suck dirty air, even though I doubt it'll ever get used in any dusty conditions again. Well, that's the carby off, guys. Just remember to disconnect your linkage to your governor. It's a Zenith 280 or 20 or 2SG or some bloody thing, I can't really see. I think I can get a kit for that, so we'll look out for that. It looks like it's a twin float carby. Yeah, I reckon I can get a kit for that. Once again, some knucklehead has painted the bloody thing yellow. I hate it when people, my pet hate is when people paint carburetors. Anyway, we'll clean it all up and make it nice. We'll have a go at the Magneto next. Two bolts, very simple. And out she comes. Don't ask me what you time it off, I have no idea at this stage. Inside there will be another gear. It's a bit dark in here, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll have to investigate that further. Valve covers off, guys. With the little push rods with adjustment on the end of them. No big deal there. We'll have a go at this governor. Take that off and then we'll drain the oil out of it. We're just about done with all the external stuff. Cylinder head's loose, guys. I don't know if this has ever been apart before. This could be the first time this has been off since it left the factory. Or then it could have been off last week, who knows. No real surprises in there. Yeah. Ball looks pretty good. There's no ridge. Absolutely tiny little bit of slop in the piston. Well, there's the head gasket. I reckon she's all right, this one. I reckon she's all right. The seems to turn over. Well, we flipped him over and we'll take off the sump and have a look inside. Well, the sump's off, guys, and no real surprises. A little bit scummy and gummy and crappy in the bottom of that. No lumps that I can see. That's a little screen that goes on that oil. I'm pretty sure that's an oil pump. I don't know what else it could be. Yeah, interesting. I didn't know those ran an oil pump, so something to watch out for. I'll have to find out about that if you have to prime them or anything. And I don't know, but we'll drop the piston out of it. That's half of the big end bearing, guys. A little bit worn, but nothing scary or drastic. Crankshaft looks really good. There's a little 103 stamped on the side, and it's the same on the other side of the con rod. That's your witness mark for reassembly, so you put it back the same as it was. Yeah, I'm holding out pretty high hopes for this. I haven't found anything really wrong with it. Pistons out, guys. Couple of, they're not gouge marks, but they're just little marks. It may have been out before. It looks like someone's tried to clean it up a bit. 4 sets of rings, or 3 compression and 1 oil control. Yeah, a few little gouges in it. Nothing to really worry about. I haven't inspected the bore yet. Conrod and all that looks all right. So yeah, we'll press on. I think we'll be okay. That's that side housing off, guys. That comes off easy. That's just 4 bolts. That also contains your crankshaft seal, or one of them. We'll see if we can get a couple of them. Undid that flange on the other side of the crank. Come out real easy, and the crank virtually fell out in my hand. Tapered roller bearings. Yeah. That is the lift rod for the oil pump, guys. Runs off the cam. There's the governor. We'll take the cam out now, but we'll want to be careful. We don't want to catch that up on one of the lobes, or even though it should just come out that way. Might just keep your eye on things like that. If you bend that, that'll be the bloody end of it. That's the camshaft out, guys. Just a matter of knocking that shaft through the housing. It's got these Welch plugs on either end, which I've... Oh, there we go. Better if they're in shot. Got these Welch plugs on either end, or freeze plugs, I think the Yanks call them, whatever. I had to wreck them to get them out, but that's all right. We'll replace them easy enough. Just goes through those holes in the side of the crankcase. I knocked it out from this way, or was it the other way? I can't remember now. I think it was this way, coming towards us. I think that's right, but I could be wrong. And the other strange thing is, this lift rod for the oil pump, I don't know how they got it in or get it out. When it drops down, it hits that casting for the one of the lifters and won't go any further. Now, I'm buggered if I know how they got that in there. Exhaust valve is out, guys. Same old trick, just use the famous bloody valve spring compressor. That valve seat looks, or that valve, the face of it looks perfect. I haven't had a look at the seat yet, but I think it'll be all right. And we'll perform a similar operation on the inlet valve, the exhaust, sorry. This is the inlet. What am I talking about? Because there's the exhaust right there, and that's the exhaust. I beg your pardon. Don't know if this is normal, guys. The That is the exhaust valve spring. Well, they've just got those little shims in there too, just under the other side. See it there? Just under the other side of the spring. That top retaining collet thing is a lot larger than the intake one. That's your intake. As you can see, it sits taller and the spring is physically softer. I don't know if they've been changed at some point or that is how they come from the factory, I don't know, but there is a definite difference between the exhaust and the intake springs. Look, you never know with these engines, tubers. See on there, it says like EX something. Now, most engines I've pulled apart, that would be the exhaust valve. Now, that was in the intake, which is there, and that was the other way around. Now, that valve is really tight in that guide, really tight. I had a lot of trouble getting it out, yet they both go in beautifully like that, and that says EX, which is the exhaust side. I'm tipping someone's mixed the order of these up, and yeah, we'll be putting it back with the EX on the exhaust side. No real noticeable slack in the, little bit of wobble in the guides, but that valve was really tight to get out of the guide. It may have even been sticking a little bit. No, that's not right because it had good compression. But yeah, I think someone's been mucking about with her before, and that may account for the differences in the springs there. I don't know, something's a bit NQR there. Someone's been mucking about with this bloody thing, but I still think it'll go. One thing left to do on this block, guys, and that's take that muffler out. Now, I've had it soaking in WD-40. I've had the bloody pliers on it and couldn't move it. We're going to try a bit of heat around here and just see if we can get it to move. I don't want to go too heavy-handed on it. I don't want to bust anything. Just goes to show you what a bit of heat will do, guys. Come straight off. Well, there we have it, guys. One Wisconsin engine tore down as far as she'll go, except for that bloody little lift rod for the oil pump. I don't know about that. I'm going to have to do some research. A lot of clean-up to be done. A lot of painting and stuff like that. So we shall start the laborious task of trying to make something nice out of it. As usual, guys, I just give the ports a bit of a clean up, shine up, just to get rid of any rough castings, you know, just to sort of help them breathe a little bit. Just starting to clean the block tubers and the things you find. Why would there be a little heart stamped on that? Well, that's that seat lapped in, guys. Yeah, that's a nice valve face, or you know, whatever on it. Yeah, and the seat equally looks pretty good. Do the same thing to the other side, or the intake side. Well, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, guys. I've seen so many guys do these. They will go to great pains to clean everything, paint it beautifully, get it looking just right, and then you start doing your machine work. Well, I don't reckon that's right. When you're machining, grinding, sanding, running the threads, all of that, you're making a mess. You're making filings, you're making grinding, paste mess, everything. And you're just readmitting it into a clean engine. I still say, do all your dirty work first, you know, run all your threads, do your valves, hone your cylinder, all that, clean your gasket faces, everything. Then give it a final clean and start worrying about paint. It's just, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like common sense to me. But anyway, the blocks, now we've just got to do the paint removal process, and that's always a fun part. We'll start on this carby today, guys. I think I can get a kit. Yeah, Zenith 28G. I'm going to pull it apart and then I'll be able to match some gaskets and that sort of stuff. And yeah, I think there's a guy up in Queensland deals in these, and yeah, we'll put a new kit through it with a bit of luck, but we'll get all that bloody yellow paint off. Tubers, I haven't filmed all this, pulling this carby to bits. It's so self-explanatory, and number two, I haven't got a tripod anyway, so I can't do it because I need both hands to pull the carby to bits, or, you know, and hold a camera. Just have a look at your jets. That looks like a main mixture jet. Or, you know, check the brass on the end of it. If it's really deeply pitted and that, or, you know, grooved, you might have to replace it, or at least clean it up. That's an idle mixture screw. Once again, just, you know, look at these parts, make sure they're serviceable. I've unscrewed all the top. We're now going to separate it and see what's inside. It probably hasn't been apart for a long time. I may have to give it a little bit of a... Oop, there we go. She's come apart. What do we got in here? No real gunk, bit of dirt, bit of rust. Yeah, I didn't break the gasket, that's a good thing. Now I know what the gasket looks like, I should be able to match it. If not, we're going to have to clean it up as best we can. There's your needle and seat. I'll see if I can get a kit for it, and yeah, we'll give it the works. Well, that's the carby down, guys. I won't pull that butterfly valve yet. I think one comes in the kit, but I don't know. That's if I can get the right kit. The only way I can match it up is by the gasket. Yeah, so we're going to give this a sandblast, clean it all up, and then ultrasonic clean it for about a month. Tell you what, tubers, I'm not perfect and I make more than my fair share of mistakes, but this is the link, the activating link for the choke. Now, what do you have to be doing to necessitate a repair like that? Now, that's been bloody arc welded back together. Now, where do these people come from? I mean, okay, the repair's there and it works, but how do you break it in the first place? This is what some people, I mean, there's just some people out there, I wouldn't let them pump up the tyres on my car because they'd get it wrong. I'm not perfect, far from it, but I mean, what do you got to be doing to do that sort of damage? I mean, fair dinkum. Well, we cleaned it up a bit, guys. That's about as good as I'm going to get it without a major rework. Yeah, so much easier if you just don't bugger things up in the first place. That's the float assembly out of the carby, guys. Looks all right. To check them, number one, you can shake them, and if you hear like liquid inside it, it's got a hole in it. Number two, you can put it under water and see if any bubbles come out of it, and that's a sure sign there's a hole. Now, you could probably touch them up with a bit of solder. Now, I don't know if that's been repaired or it's to do with weight, but you don't want these heavy, obviously, because they'll sink straight down and flood your motor, and yeah, you'll have a bad day. Well, that's the bits out of the ultrasonic cleaner, guys. Cast iron manifold, so that come up all right. There's the carby top. As I say, I had to sandblast the buggery out of it, and it's had 2 goes in the ultrasonic cleaner for half an hour, but look at that. I mean, what was I saying about the other part, about people bloody butchering stuff? It's a light alloy. You don't have to lean on it with spanners and that sort of thing, so we'll have to I'll try and get a 90-degree elbow for that and work something out for it, I don't know. And that's the carby float bowl. Come up all right. Didn't go crazy with the sandblasting inside, but it's clean, and that's all it has to be. Yeah, haven't got a kit yet, but I'll organise a kit. And that's the rest of the parts. Polished up the jets and so on and so on. A few brackets. I can reassemble some of it, so I'll reassemble what I can, and then we'll get some, you know, hopefully some new gaskets, new needle and seat, and go from there. Well, that's the throttle linkage back on, guys. Just make sure it moves smoothly and doesn't bind right through its travel range. If it does bind up, Murphy's Law will tell you that when you're on flat out, you know, the butterfly's wide open and that's when it'll stick. And yeah, like I said, you'll have a bad day. Idle mixture screw. Screw it in till it stops, and then out about a turn and a half will get you started. Do not lean on these, you will ruin the seat. You just nip them up. 9 times out of 10 the spring will probably stop it going any further before the seat does, but you don't know that. Yeah, so a turn and a half should get you started. Once the motor is warmed up, you can do your final tuning. No point tuning it when it's cold. Same thing with that main jet mixture, guys. Screw it in. You can actually see the seat there on this one. Yeah, just till it stops and then back out about a turn and a half. And once again, as I said, do the final tuning when it's warmed up. That appears to be the emulsion tube. So yeah, the fuel would go in down there because that's your float bowl, and then get drawn up out through there through the Venturi action. These are handy when you're doing carbies and that sort of thing, guys. Just these little fibre washer kits and copper washers, that sort of thing. Very handy. You know, if you get something like that that's a bit old and crappy, and I've just replaced it for a nice new copper one. So they don't fit everything. They're weird sizes and that, but generally they get you out of trouble and quite handy. There we have it, guys. One carby. None of this is tight yet, obviously, because it's got to come apart to put a new gasket. Now, I'm hoping I can get one. If not, I'm going to have to cut one of these. And that is going to be fun and games, but it is doable. And I'd like to get a new needle and seat, but yeah, anyway, carby's done. Well, we're about to start on this Magneto, guys. It is a goer. If we put the drill on it, so she is a goer. There's no, feels rough as guts in that, and there's no, well, if there's an impulse spring it's broken because there doesn't appear to be an impulse action. Now, I don't know much about these at all. I've done one, and that was on that old BSA that we did about a year ago. It is working, so I would expect that it works when I put it back together. If not, we'll go from there, but at least that tells me that the coil's all right, the lead's all right, even though it's crap. I'll try and get a new lead, look at that. And of course we'll bung a new plug in it anyway, so, but it is working, so we've got a good starting point. Well, that's the outer cover off. Bloody terrible inside. We'll see if we can get that lead out and change it without too much trouble. Have a look at the inside of this thing. I mean, that is disgusting, and that doesn't look like it's been touched in a long time. But it's working, so we're going to pull it to bits and clean it right up and see how we go. That nut just unscrews. There's a screw in the middle of it. I couldn't get it undone, but I will. Just goes in the end of that gear and tightens up. Gear's loose now. Yeah, I'm tipping in behind there. There'll be some springs and shit and all that horrible stuff. Yeah, I was right. There's a spring in there. Don't know how well you can see that, guys. It's getting a bit dark in here. It's starting to bloody rain. Yeah, there's a spring in there. It doesn't look broken, but everything's very greasy and oily and shitty. And that drives on that. But yeah, I think that's all part of the impulse system. Something might be missing there, I don't know. That's the breaker plate off, guys. Yeah, and there's a little bearing there that runs in that race in there, so just keep your eye on that. That'll have to come out and clean it all up and that, and yeah, it's all quite grisly. 3 screws buried right down in there, guys. Had to use the impact driver to undo them. They're loose now, so we'll pull them out and hopefully she'll fall to bits a bit more. Even the best of us screw up, guys. That's that screw out of the end of that thing. And if you look down in there, there's the other part of it, broken off. Funny how things look different the next morning. Last night I was flat out trying to work out how the hell this thing comes to bits. Had me stuffed, slept on it, got up this morning and it bloody well fell apart in my hand almost. It's just a tapered shaft with a keyway. You can just see there. And yeah, a bit of a bearing and that. They need a damn good clean. They're as rough as guts. The magnet's plenty strong. Yeah, so we'll just figure out how to get the coil out and we can start cleaning everything up and checking it out. Well, that's some of these Magneto parts cleaned up, guys. Yeah, it's a little bit cleaner than what it was. As I say, it was bloody black as black could be. Yeah, we'll start cleaning up those remainder of bits and start reassembly. It needs a new seal, but I don't know if I can bloody well get one of them or not. I'll have a look around and see if I can. If not, yeah, so be it. Well, that's the coil cleaned up and back in, guys. Just 2 small screws in the top there that I didn't see that had been painted over. But yeah, upon investigation, I found that's how it was held in. Also on the front, got some timing marks. Don't know what the go is there. Yeah, we'll have to look into how to time all this. The impulse mechanism thing is back together. Just watch, there's a little spring there that hooks under that as well and hooks onto the back of that, so that gives that a little bit of, I can't bloody well do it, there we go, a little bit of spring tension, like so. And on the back of the breaker plate is these 3 shims, or you may have 2 or 4 or 1. I'm guessing it's to do with end float on that bearing in there. That's that flange bolted back on. Those 3, let's put some Loctite on them, tighten them up, and then I'm just going to burr over that sort of head of the screw just to sort of hold them tight. Fiddly bloody thing, guys, but slowly going back together. Got a nice 11 thou on the points. They have to be between 10 and 12, so I thought, right, go for 11. Well, that's the points back in, guys. Yeah, it's getting there. We have spark. I just did a quick test and we have spark. So, and it feels to be rotating nicely and all of that. The manual also advises putting some sort of sealer back on them. I'll just chuck a bit of Celastic or something on them. Just got to clean up I'll take that lead out. I've ordered some new leads and clean that up, and she's just about ready to rock. Well, there it is, guys, one Magneto. Good spark. Impulse seems to work. Got to put a new lead in, I'm just waiting on that, but and find a screw for there. But she's done. Yeah, come up all right.
Tell you what, people, we're going to call this part 1. We're already up to about 30 odd minutes. Lesson to be learnt. Don't turn around and say, oh yeah, look what some dickhead's done and they've welded up this carby part and so on, and then go and promptly break the screw out of the Magneto. Yes, I'm not perfect either. I screw up all the time. Just goes to show what being a smartass is. Anyway, all in good fun. Thank you to my subscribers, my viewers, and anyone else who contributes anything at all to these videos. We are going to start on part 2 very shortly. A lot of work in this one. It's a few bits are a bit more worn than I thought. Yeah, take care, people. We are going to see you very, very shortly in part 2, and steer clear of the China virus.